So we're breaking the news.
Yeah.
Two things. We sound exactly like the Notebook LLM people.
We do, because I was listening to Notebook LLM. Yes.
So when we were doing that last episode, I was like, this sounds uncannily like especially you.
With my American accent.
Exactly,
you just have to sound more American, and we're basically Notebook LLM, but we're actually humans. I actually spent some time fighting with, especially the Grail article. I spent some time fighting with Notebook LLM.
Really?
Because there's an interactive mode.
Oh,
so I'm
amazing.
just like, I actually disagree with you. Because and they're like, that's a very good point.
It's so good. It's so funny. The other thing is, TBPN? It's two brothers. They basically talk about the tech news.
You told me about this.
It's like a new media. They talk about tech news, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
We're like them, kind of, but for biotech.
I love that. We're basically the merge of all these cool real life and AI podcasters.
Yeah.
Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 16 of Breakthroughs with Sam and Tiff. And I'm your co-host, Tiffany. I studied oncology in University of Oxford with Sam, where we did our PhDs together. And now I'm a scientist entrepreneur.
Awesome. I'm Sam, and I'm a medical doctor.
Short and snappy.
So
cool.
What have we got, Tiff?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the big deals in the pharma space from the past month. And, it's been quite dramatic.
Super dramatic. So much progress.
It's crazy. You don't think about these pharma companies as like characters in like a drama show, but it feels like it reading about these news.
That's funny.
Yeah, why don't you kick us off with the first one?
Okay, so the first one is a big deal between Pfizer, the big pharma company, and Metsera, which is a smaller biotech focused on obesity, and it's a deal worth up to $10 billion. And it's an interesting deal for a few reasons, one of which is because there was a big bidding war
Very dramatic.
between Pfizer and Novo Nordisk, the existing obesity giant.
Yeah, the behemoth of GLP-1 drugs. And yeah, we can talk about both the regulatory and strategy of the deal, as well as the tech behind the drugs.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I thought it was interesting because, this deal was at 9.2 billion, with, I think it was 7 billion with a B upfront in cash, and then 2 billion in milestones from Pfizer. And Novo was actually going to offer more money than Pfizer to give to Metsera, but they ended up going with Pfizer. And apparently one of the big reasons is because Pfizer promises it can bring their drug to market faster because of their manufacturing capabilities that Novo doesn't have. So that was really interesting to turn down, an extra almost $1 billion just because you want your drug to do well and you want to reach those milestone payments.
Yeah, so the sequence of events is quite funny, right? Let me just talk through the sequence. It's so on the September the 22nd, so that was recently, Pfizer put in a bid for a total of $7.3 billion to buy Metsera. Then, on the October 30th, so a little while later, Novo Nordisk, so they have the existing obesity, so they have Ozempic, semaglutide. They already have a major market in obesity. They put in a bid for $9 billion. And then Pfizer wrote a letter to Novo Nordisk.
Stop it.
And Pfizer said, it's very funny, the letter. Let me just read a brief part of it. So Pfizer said, Pfizer is aware of the reckless and unprecedented proposal by Novo Nordisk to acquire Metsera. It is an attempt by a company with a dominant market position to suppress competition in violation of law by taking over an emerging American challenger. It is also structured in a way to circumvent antitrust laws and carry substantial regulatory and executional risk. The proposal is illusory and cannot qualify as a superior proposal under Pfizer's agreement with Metsera. Pfizer is prepared to pursue all legal avenues to enforce its rights under its agreement.
Dang. Mic drop.
So
Wow. That was, I mean, that's the second reason. Apart from like them being able to manufacture faster, they said that Novo was going around the antitrust laws. And I mean, there's just, they say it's like very anti-competition, and they were closing to becoming a monopoly in the market with like Wegovy and Ozempic, and now they want this other, potential blockbuster drug. And yeah, I think that's what convinced Metsera to say yes to Pfizer. That's
exactly.
very good arguing.
It is. It's nice. It's beautifully worded, right? So that was on October 30th. Pfizer then came back with a bid, $8.1 billion. Novo came back on the next day, November the 4th, with $10 billion. And then the numbers I have, I think, are slightly different from yours. But either way, Pfizer then came with the final bid, November the 8th, for the winning bid to take Metsera. And that's where the story finished.
Wow.
So very dramatic, back and forth.
Love triangle.
Quite funny.
I mean, the Metsera shareholders must be very happy.
So they were. I was following them on Twitter. They were loving it.
Yeah, they're like, just getting two big pharma fighting over you.
Exactly. They just kept going up and up and up.
Yeah, they're not that old, right? As a company.
How old are they? They're based in New York. I don't know how old they are.
They were founded in 2022. So, and
2022. That's insane. And
founded
now
by
an exit
Arch
for
Venture.
10 billion.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
and founded
wild.
by Arch Ventures, which is one of the biggest investors in the healthcare life sciences space. So definitely plugged into the right people.
Cool.
But yeah, my goodness. Think about, like selling a company within 3 years for $9 billion.
That's crazy.
Goals.
In terms of the pipeline, so you were, I think, ahead of... So we talked about a drug called an amylin receptor agonist before.
Yes,
and
we have.
I think we're ahead of the curve on this. Because I remember you told me about this amylin receptor agonist.
It was a few months ago, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was skeptical.
I remember this because I was like, you love your GLP-1s, your GLP-1s, and you're like, oh, are we really going to go for an amylin analog?
So, and now I've come to your way of thinking a few months later. So Metsera have they have some GLP-1s, they have some GLP-1 GIP receptor agonists, but they also have amylin agonists. And the really exciting thing about the amylin agonists, as you said before, is that it promotes satiety. So it makes you feel full, as opposed to GLP-1s, which stop you feeling hungry.
Yeah,
it's a subtle difference, but it's
very subtle but important difference. Like GLP-1 stops you from being hungry, but amylin analog makes you feel full. So two different mechanisms, maybe they synergize in some sort of way. But one of the advantages of the amylin analog is that it helps you preserve muscle mass, which is apparently one of the things that the GLP-1s don't do. So
the other thing now is that I think before amylin, at least publicly, was not quite de-risked as a target. But now there's been published data
just several months later
of amylin receptor agonists or amylin GLP-1 combined receptor agonists, and now the data are very clean.
You're much more convinced.
So
guys, you just need to go to Sam with a lot of data.
So that's interesting. The other interesting thing is that so they were bought for in the range of $10 billion, or acquired for in the range of $10 billion. They have not got a single phase 3 asset. So their most advanced asset is phase 2. They haven't started a phase 3 trial yet.
Yeah. That's super interesting. Like, I mean, it just goes to show when you're in the right market where there's a lot of competition for the next blockbuster GLP-1 or equivalent drug, these big pharma, they're willing to take on more risk. They don't want to lose out. They've got FOMO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And I mean, the obesity problem isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Actually, the projection is it's just going to get worse and worse and worse.
Oh, gosh.
So, and as we know, the two biggest drugs in the world now this year, number one, semaglutide, number two, tirzepatide, both obesity drugs.
Yeah.
And
it's overtaken the oncology drugs.
Exactly. The problem is only getting bigger and bigger according to the statistics.
Do you think part of the problem is because we now have a solution for obesity? So people are just like, oh, might as well just, let the obesity problem get worse because we can just have a Band-Aid solution of all the GLP-1 drugs. Because like really, like in an ideal world, you want to not get to obesity before you become healthy. You want to just like prevent becoming obese and prevent smoking, prevent inflammation.
But I see now there is a possibility to solve it if you can.
Yeah, that too.
To reverse it, yeah.
Yeah, just from like a philosophical standpoint, it's kind of like if you know there's like a safety net, like the Ozempics of the world, then like are you just gonna be lax on these like healthcare policies and promoting a healthy lifestyle? Don't know, just something
interesting
to think about. But yeah, good on Metsera. They must be very happy.
They crushed it. The other thing is that so the semaglutide, so the GLP-1 the receptor agonist, goes off patent in 2032. So that's pretty soon. So they're working on a semaglutide similar molecule, so also a GLP-1 receptor agonist, which is still only in phase 2. The semaglutide goes off patent in 2032, so they're going to have to rush pretty fast to get it out before it goes generic, because then once it goes generic, it's cheap as chips, and and
you have to beat them in efficacy. And justify the costs.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a race.
It's a massive race.
But good on the general public regarding the generics.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And there is also actually already a generic, liraglutide is already generic.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just much less effective than semaglutide.
And I guess that's like better for, the population in general. But yeah, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Wow.
So, super interesting. There we go.
So much drama. I think the next piece of news is not as dramatic, but it's a huge number. This deal between Novartis and Avidity Biosciences is at a whopping $12 billion US.
Yeah.
12 billion. It's just insane to even like think about the magnitude of that number.
Numbers.
Yeah. And this time it's for their RNA therapeutics platform, and it's called AOC. So instead of, ADCs, which we all know very well, antibody drug conjugates, this one is an antibody oligonucleotide conjugate. And this is for neuromuscular diseases. And it's really cool science. And what do you think of this deal?
I think it's fascinating. And it fits very nicely in with Novartis. So by the way, we just talked about Novartis with malaria. So they crushed it with the new malaria drug. Now they're also doing this big deal with Avidity Biosciences. So they're very active. It fits in very nicely with the rest of their portfolio for two reasons. One, because they already have existing oligonucleotide acids, like RNA acids. The main one they have is something called inclisiran, which is a cholesterol drug. And then also it fits in with their neuroscience focus. So they've got 4 major focuses, Novartis. One of them is neuroscience. So clearly this deal is focused on neuromuscular diseases, fits in very well in that kind of neuroscience portfolio that they have.
Yeah, it's perfect because they know which oligos to target. And what Avidity Biosciences does really well with their platform is their antibody targets the transport receptor in these muscle cells, because usually the problem is that it's really hard to get gene therapies delivered to muscle cells. They're really dense, they're hard to reach, which is and a lot of people in the gene therapy space say that one of the core issues in the space is the delivery system, not the actual payload itself, but how the payload gets to your target tissues. So Avidity is aiming to target this transferrin receptor on these muscle tissue cells, and they're able to transport the RNA oligo across the membrane and into the cells. So then they can correct the gene
to enrich the payload into where it needs to go, into the muscle. So it's a super nice idea. There are 0 approved antibody oligonucleotides on the market currently, but it's such a nice idea. It makes so much sense.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
It's so creative, and no one's really thought about it. And obviously you can use this not just for muscular dystrophy diseases, but for any other gene therapy indications where you need to silence a gene, improve the expression of the protein or make sure that it's correctly expressed. So I can see why this deal is $12 billion because they see the potential of it.
And it's a serious unmet need as well. So just to talk about the two main pathologies they're working on.
Yeah.
So the first is Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. Very serious condition, affects boys pretty much always because it's X-linked. And it causes muscular loss. It also affects the heart as well and causes death usually in the teens or 20s. So it's a very serious condition. And their antibody oligonucleotide conjugate is very interesting. It's an exon skipper. So you have to target the specific exon that's causing the disease. So theirs targets exon 44 of patients with mutations in exon 44 that then go on to have Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. And the drug skips that exon. So you lose the exon, but then you keep everything in frame. So the mutation causes a frame shift. It disrupts the whole protein. If you skip the exon, you don't have the frame shift, and therefore you have a much milder symptoms of the condition. They call it Beckerizing the condition. So
Beckerizing.
There's a different muscular dystrophy called Becker, which is affecting the same protein, but it's a much milder phenotype. So you take...
so you turn it into a more mild version of it. Because you don't want to get rid of the whole protein. You still need it, but you just reduce the symptoms.
Exactly. So you just skip one exon, and then you do lose that exon, which is why you still have some symptoms.
Yeah.
But you then retain the rest of the protein, and therefore you Beckerize the condition, if that makes sense.
Clever, yeah.
So it's super nice.
That is super elegant. God, it's just so smart. And you were going to talk about the other disease.
The other one is
myotonic
dystrophy type 1. So there are 0 therapies for this condition.
Yeah.
It's reasonably common. There's about 500,000 people in the world with myotonic dystrophy.
Wow.
Type 1.
And all the treatments right now are just palliative. They're nothing.
So there's no treatments, no like curative treatments.
Yeah.
This is a really interesting pathology because it's caused by a toxic RNA. So the RNA is mutant. The RNA kind of misfolds, a bit like the amyloid protein in Alzheimer's, for example.
Yeah.
But it's RNA that's misfolding. It then causes toxicity in neurons and causes the condition.
It accumulates. Yeah.
Exactly. And the antibody oligonucleotide conjugate...
It's hard to say, isn't it? It's a tongue twister.
Is an siRNA, so it depletes that RNA, the toxic RNA, and therefore prevents the symptoms.
So smart. Yeah, it acts as, for the audience, small interfering RNA. So it interrupts the action of the RNA, so it can't be toxic.
Exactly. Yeah. We used to use them in the lab. They're used in the lab all the time for experiments, but they're also now used in the clinic too, which is super cool.
So cool that it's made it to the clinic. These RNA therapeutics.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is super cool. And just to say about the deal, Novartis is, only acquiring the late stage assets, which includes this AOC platform. But Avidity is keeping some of the early stage assets in precision cardiology. Yeah. And then they're turning it into a company called SpinCo. So this is a very good example of how big pharma is only, playing it safe and buying the late stage assets. And then Avidity, the shareholders will now own shares in, this Novartis acquired subsidiary and in a new company, SpinCo. So I would be so happy to be a shareholder in this company because you get de-risk assets given to big pharma, but then you would also have this exploratory set of drugs that are still being developed through the smaller spin-out company. It's very smart.
It's super smart. Yeah, it's a really nice approach. So there we go. Hopefully we'll have some drugs approved soon for those two conditions that we talked about.
Yeah, huge unmet clinical needs. So
for sure.
Awesome. All right. Back to more pharma drama. So this one is a deal between Takeda and Nabla Bio, and it's for an AI drug design partnership. And this one is, it made the news because of kind of really big decisions that Takeda had to make for restructuring their company. Because Takeda basically made close to 200 specialists redundant, and then immediately is acquiring Nabla Bio for close to $1 billion or over $1 billion. So that's a really huge strategic shift. It's basically giving up on the cell therapy arm of the company and now solely focusing on oncology and neuroscience. And yeah, it's had to like make the shift in like these market conditions, and it's decided to double down on AI drug design. Just,
super interesting.
Yeah.
But did they acquire it, or was it a deal to use their platform?
No, sorry, you're right. It's a collaboration. But they basically, I don't know what portion of the AI platform it will own. But basically it's trying to get more compounds and antibodies and therapeutics generated from this AI platform that they call JAM, Joint Atomic Model. Not sure the details of the intellectual property, but it is a huge strategic decision to just like chop off the cell therapy arm of your company completely. And now you're relying on these partnerships with external companies,
Right.
Such as Nabla Bio.
Wow. It's a massive bet, right?
Huge bet.
Bet on AI, by the way.
What do you think of the deal?
I think it's fascinating. So Nabla Bio is a very interesting. So it came out of George Church's lab in Harvard.
Very famous lab.
And they were a YC company, the Y Combinator company. So they went through YC, and they also got then after that massive funding, and they are doing AI drug discovery. And basically, the reason it's so exciting, I think, is because there's so many different targets that we could go for that since now we have not had drugs for, right? And now with AI mediated antibody drug discovery, we're going to start to drug the undruggable, right? Exactly.
And like, this joint atomic model, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not an AI expert, but
Neither am I.
they call this like a foundational model. It's built on data sets, that are at the molecular level. And what's special about this platform is they can do something called de novo protein generation. So you can make peptides that haven't existed before in nature, that are stable, that can become therapeutics like bispecifics, multi-specifics, antibodies, especially for drugging, like you said, things that are thought to be undruggable, like GPCRs.
Exactly.
And that's what they try to do their proof of concept in, the GPCRs therapeutics. So,
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to give, I have two examples, one from them and one from me, of very exciting targets that should be shot for. Right. So the first one is from them, which they have. So it's a GPCR. It's never been drugged before. They've used their AI platform to generate a new antibody that inhibits or activates or targets.
One of them targets
this,
it for sure.
This protein. But the protein is called CXCR7, and it's never been drugged before, but it's very important in metastasis, cancer metastasis. So, and the reason it's never been drugged before is because it's a bit of a funny protein. It sits on the surface of the cell, and if you try to do an in vitro assay, a physical assay, an experiment, it just internalizes. So if you try to find an antibody that binds it, it'll just take it in and go away, and it ruins the experiment. Basically, It doesn't work. So of course, what could you do? You could do it in silico, right?
Yeah.
You could do it in a computer, and that's not a problem anymore. And that's exactly what they did. And they made a new antibody that targets that protein. And now they can start to move it forward in the clinic, and maybe eventually it becomes a metastasis inhibitor.
That's perfect.
But it's never been so you can't make an experimental antibody against it, but you can in silico. That's
crazy.
That's why it's so exciting.
It's a great example of how AI can overcome limitations in the wet lab.
Exactly, 100%.
Wow.
The other one that was a target from me.
So I just had a look here first on Breakthrough.
So it's another GPCR, untargeted until now. It's called GPR75. Doesn't mean anything, of course. None of the names mean anything. But so I had a look at it's the strongest genetic protector against obesity. So of all of the genes, if you rank all of the genes, 1 to 20,000.
And this is your idea. You would like to target this one.
Yeah. If you rank all of the
I hope a big
genes,
pharma is listening to this right now.
1 to 20,000, the strongest genetic predictor of not being obese is inactivating mutations in GPR75, right?
Oh my gosh, where do you find this?
It's published in Science.
Oh wow.
So in other words,
they haven't targeted it yet because it's undruggable.
Exactly. So if you have skinny people walking around in the population, maybe they have mutations in GPR75.
And it's not functional.
Exactly, it's less functional. It's the strongest predictor, much stronger than, by the way, GLP-1, much stronger than GIP, which is what tirzepatide targets. It's the strongest
you just
by
say
far.
it's stronger than GLP-1?
Way stronger.
Where's GLP-1
from a
on that
genetic
list?
It's not even a predictor at all. But GIP is, and there's also other positive and negative controls. So it's a good data set.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a good data set. Not because it's a prediction. It's correlation. So it doesn't necessarily have all the wet lab data needed for all of it.
Exactly.
But the fact that GIP is on that list.
Yeah, it's got really nice controls.
Ranked?
Sorry?
Where is GIP ranked?
Among the top.
That's a good control.
So we could see, maybe I should do a collaboration with Nabla Bio, pay them $1 billion, and then they can design me a GPR75. This is my IP right now, by the way, please.
Yeah, he's already filed a patent for this.
Make me a GPR75 antibody, and then we could put it in the clinic. And then, of course, the rest of the way it works, the deal, I think, is that Nabla will do all of the in silico, and they'll do some of the in vitro validation of the target.
Yeah.
And then the clinical stuff is the responsibility of Big Pharma.
Big Pharma, yeah.
I think that's how the kind of deal works.
There you go. That's your next pharma company. Let's go to YC or YC first and then Boston, or Boston and YC.
Yeah. So
that's great.
So, but as you said, so you could do antibodies against one target, bispecifics, trispecifics, BiTEs, like bispecific T-cell engagers, and natural killer cell engagers, all sorts of potential.
Anything that needs some sort of in silico design that's optimized. And it's a huge deal because pharma companies, they spend so much money in the design phase. They waste millions or hundreds of millions of dollars on getting things to the design fix before you even take it into the clinic. So this is supposed to chop a lot of costs from that part of the pipeline. Takeda is really making a huge bet on the AI part of the drug development pipeline. It's a lot of trust in external companies because they're literally taking out the innovation arm within the company and now becoming more of a very strategic partner in drug development as opposed to being the innovator in itself.
It really is a very interesting setup, isn't it?
Yeah. And you can see these companies, you can just imagine these big pharmacy suites, people making these decisions in the boardroom. Everything from the bidding war to where should we focus next? We need to focus in these austerity markets. We need to focus on what will really make us profits and stop, being so spread so thinly.
I have a new ambition, by the way.
Yeah.
The other day, I watched an interview. I watched an interview with the CEO of Eli Lilly, and it was the best thing I've ever seen. So that's my new ambition: become the.
You're gonna be the CEO of Lilly,
and then I can do the deals with Nabla and so on. Right? How fun would that be?
Guys, you heard it here first.
Love it. Wouldn't that be so fun? I'd love that.
There's no reason why you cannot be the CEO of Lilly.
And Dave Ricks.
It's an American company, though.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you?
I love America. What do you mean? I love America. Dave Ricks, he's not a scientist. He came up from the business side of things. So he's not a scientist, not a doctor. Came up purely from business, and now he's running the show from.
Yeah, but I love that about big pharma because in the pharma world, when you get really high up, it's all about strategy.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't even need to know that much about the science. Sometimes you have a technical CEO, but a lot of times, for example, GSK, they had Emma Walmsley, who was at L'Oreal for many years before that. So she didn't have that much therapeutic pharma experience, but it's all about where do you put the money?
That's so interesting.
How much is it going to cost, and how much money is it going to make you? What are the 100%. Risks? So it's all the same kind of business strategic thinking.
100%. I'd like to see the composition, right? How many of the pharma CEOs are technical versus non-technical?
There are definitely studies on this, and how well the companies do as well.
Yeah. I'd love to see that. That would be so interesting.
We can look at that in a future episode.
Yeah.
Let's do a deep dive. Yeah.
That's super interesting. All right. Anything else
right.
to say?
No. Well, just how dramatic it's been in the biotech world in the past year. We've had really tough markets, the worst that people have seen in like 20 years, I would say. I mean, it's not just, I wouldn't say it's a typical biotech life cycle, the boom and bust. It's really bad given geopolitical tensions and market uncertainties. But I think the market's making a recovery, and these deals are a sign of that. So hopefully everything will be better in 2026 for the life sciences world. But on the bright side, these therapies are being progressed and science is happening.
Yes, all the breakthroughs here. We're going to track it all.
Yeah, we'll see you next time for a more festive episode.
Awesome.
It'll be more Christmassy. All right, see you.
Ciao.